subscribe.
Violet, their mother, who was immensely respectable. I mean, I knew her really quite well. She was a sort of Cockney Queen mother. And, you know, her boys were her bunny rabbits, and she never, you know, their boys would never do anything. And she genuinely believed it.
They idolised the mother. Not so much the old man. No, they used to have their rows with the old man because he didn't like what they was doing. You know, no one likes their children to be like they was.
The old grandfather was a hero for them. He was called Cannonball Lee, the southpaw cannonball. He used to be an old boxer who then did musical turns.
Well, it was like a normal thing, an old bare-knuckle fighter them days. My grandfather was a bare-knuckle fighter. Twins idolised it. It was honest money, hard money. And I think that was the reason why everyone in the East End wanted to box.
There was a fantastic amount of kids in the area who got great pleasure going into the Krays gym, which was a room, a bedroom. They would put up a punch bag and a ball, and Charlie taught them how to box.
I think he would have been British champion quite easily, quite easily. Ronnie was beaten several times because he never had the temperament, he never had the up here for it.
After they were 16, 17, and Charlie was saying to me one day, can't you do something about our twins? And I said, Charlie, nobody can do anything about your twins. You know, you've got to realise your twins are quite powerful in their own way, and no, I couldn't do anything about them. They won't listen to anybody.
When I first knew them, I found them very amusing in a way, you know, and though there was the excitement and danger around them, I used to laugh at their antics, you know.
I met them many Saturday mornings. They were always getting themselves nicked on Friday night and appearing in court on Saturday morning. They were the sort of thing that wouldn't go further than the magistrate's court. Things like being a suspected person, the old sus laws, and they were charged again and again with that type of crime, or trying car door handles, you know, really soppy things.
Well, they got charged. They was at the Old Bailey, I think it was. No, it was a big, because they was young at the time. It was the first serious offence. It happened in Club Row. And they had bicycle chains, and they chained him on the floor, and that. He was on the danger list.
When he punched Ronnie in the back, that changed Ronnie's attitude to policemen generally. He was a bully of a man, bashed him in the back. Oh, Ronnie done him, didn't he? Crushed bang. You know, and worse thing he could have done, because he was a thick kid. And then he chased Reggie, and that happened outside Hooker's Caff the first time, on the corner of Mape Street. And then the next time he caught Reggie, and Reggie bashed him as well, you know. And of course he'd been up by two boys, two youths. He didn't know he'd been up by two youths. Well, he didn't catch Reggie, because Reggie legged him, but he went round his house to nick him. And the family collectively said, you're not taking him in and giving him a bashing. Look at Ronnie in there. Look at his face. And the governor come round with Bainton to nick Reggie. And they finally let him go, and I think they got a caution, didn't they? I don't think they went away and got a caution.
And Shepton Mallet, well, there's a good breeding ground for crime. All sorts of choice characters that figured in their later story.
When they was in the Tower, Shepton Mallet, they wouldn't know worse than anybody else then. It was when all this killing and all that come about that they got worse than everybody else.
Came out of the army and taken over the billiard hall, which was their first venture into business.
When the twins took over the Regal, it was a big place. It wasn't a small place, you know, it was a big place. Laid at the back of Mile End Station, at Eric Street, by the car site on the front. Invariably, you got a lot of the fly-by-nights in there, you know, they always got a pair of shoes or a shirt they're selling or something like that.
It was more like a labour exchange for thieves, really. You went in there and see if anything was on offer and that sort of thing.
They had people that sort of work for them in running about for them and doing their bidding, but not villainy. I'm not talking about none of that villainy game, because they would, if they had the needle with someone, they would never ask somebody else to go and do it. They would go and do it themselves.
Each area of London had its own organised crime group, if you like. It was neighbourhood based. They made their money from thieving, from stealing, and also from various kinds of extortion. The big area to plunder immediately after the war was the West End of London, and the main players there, you had Jack Spot Comer and you had Billy Hill, both men of violence, and they clashed. It was a clash over territory, it was a clash over personalities, and as far as the relationship with the Krays were concerned, the Krays were really seen as likely lads who were coming through. These were highly marketable young men who proved themselves as local men of violence in the East End of London and were being spotted by these elder statesmen of crime as being possible cohorts.
They were in fact spot men, really. Originally, the story is that they were hired by Spot to defend him at the spring meeting at Epsom in, I think, 1955.
I can remember Ronnie saying, we're going to the races. I said, what do you know about the races, Ron? He said, well, not a lot. He said, but we could soon learn, and we're going with Jack Spot. And he loved the idea.
He was a funny man. He used to sort of hold court in the Cumberland Hotel at Marble Arch, sort of very much like sort of one of the old-time mafiosi with a sort of fedora hat on and a smart suit and having his boots polished. As Spot was on the decline, the men he'd had defected to Hill, where the pickings were an awful lot better, and he eventually quarrels with a man called Albert Dimes, who was the Hill number 2, and they had a celebrated fight in Frith Street where they cut each other to ribbons.
I've gone round one day and there's Jack Spot, you know, this man who Ronnie was in awe of, sitting in their kitchen with, Lord knows, cuts on his face like nothing, you know. Well, he looked up at me and he was sitting down and he said, I'll be back, son, I'll be back. And I thought, you won't be coming back anywhere, you're finished, mate. You know, your days of being #1 gangster are over.
Spot fell right out of the picture. What there was left of him.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please join our Facebook group. It's called Krays Crime Lords of London. We're a friendly, moderated group with over 1,000 Kray and other celebrated gangster videos available for view. There's also thousands of images in the photos sections. The link for the group is in the YouTube description section. I hope we see you there soon.
Leave a like and subscribe.